Have you ever wondered why emotions like anger, fear, or pain seem to control your life? What if true power lies not in reacting, but in the unshakable stillness within? In this video, dive into Carl Jung's profound philosophy on mastering your emotions to take charge of your destiny. Are you ready to confront the hidden shadow lurking in your soul? Join us on a transformative journey where silence becomes your greatest weapon. Discover how to break free from emotional chaos and unlock your authentic self. The moment you react, whether it's shouting back in anger, chasing someone's approval, or spiraling into self-doubt, you surrender your power. Carl Jung taught that true strength isn't in the loudness of your response, but in the quiet mastery of your emotions. Imagine this. Someone disrespects you, and instead of exploding, you pause. You breathe. You choose silence. That stillness isn't weakness, it's dominance. It's the unshakable calm that unnerves those who expect you to crumble. Why? Because when you don't react, you keep your energy. You stop handing your peace to others. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Every reaction is a chain, tying you to old wounds, past traumas, or someone else's chaos. But silence, it's freedom. It's the refusal to let external triggers dictate your inner world. Picture yourself as a still lake, undisturbed by the stones others throw. That clarity lets you see the truth beneath the noise. In a world that thrives on drama, your silence becomes a rebellion, a refusal to play the game. So, why do we feel compelled to react? What drives that burning urge to prove ourselves? The answer lies deeper in the unconscious, where Jung's concept of the shadow waits to be explored. Are you ready to uncover what's really controlling your reactions? That urge to react, that knot of anger or shame in your chest, it's not just you, it's your shadow, the hidden part of your psyche Carl Jung described as the unconscious wounds we carry. Shadow work is the courageous harmony of facing these suppressed emotions, fear, jealousy, or pain, not to fight them, but to understand them. Why do you snap when someone criticizes you? Why does rejection sting so deeply? These reactions aren't random. They're echoes of your past, your inner child crying out, your traumas wearing your face. Jung warned that ignoring the shadow traps you in cycles of suffering, replaying the same pain with different faces. But when you pause, as we explored in silence, you create space to see these triggers clearly. Shadow work isn't about fixing yourself. It's about integration. It's asking, where does this anger come from? And listening without judgment. Imagine sitting with your pain, not running from it, and discovering it's not your enemy, but a guide. This process transforms you. The man who faces his shadow becomes untouchable, not because he's perfect, but because he's whole. He knows his triggers and owns them. So, how do you start? The next time you feel that surge of emotion, don't react. Observe. Ask, what's beneath this? What's the shadow trying to teach you? This isn't easy. It's raw, brutal, and deeply human, but it's the path to freedom. Are you brave enough to look within and meet your true self? The courage to face your shadow unlocks a deeper truth. Silence is not just a shield, but a weapon that shatters illusions. When you pause and observe your emotions, as shadow work teaches, you stop feeding the chaos that others or your own mind create. Carl Jung believed that most of our suffering comes from unconscious patterns masquerading as fate. Silence cuts through this veil. It's not passive, it's a deliberate act of reclaiming your power. Picture someone trying to provoke you, yelling, ignoring, or manipulating. Your instinct screams to fight back, to explain, to prove your worth. But what if you didn't? What if you stood still, like a mountain unmoved by the storm? That silence strips away their control. It forces them to face their own emptiness, their own shadows, while you remain grounded. This isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about choosing not to let them rule you. Jung's philosophy reveals that the world thrives on reactions. It expects you to chase, to beg, to break. But when you refuse, you dismantle the illusion that your peace depends on others' approval. You stop being a puppet to external triggers. This video isn't just inspiration. It's a mirror reflecting the truth you've avoided. By embracing silence, you reclaim your energy, your authenticity, and your life. So, what happens when you stop reacting to chaos? Can you imagine the freedom of living untethered from others' games? The next step is learning how this stillness becomes your greatest superpower. This stillness, born from silence, evolves into something even greater: calmness, your ultimate superpower. Carl Jung taught that everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. But understanding requires a mind at peace, not chaos. Calmness isn't just serenity, it's power under control, like a warrior who commands the battlefield without drawing a sword. When betrayal stings or drama erupts, the world expects you to react, to scream, to crumble, to prove your worth. But a calm mind refuses to play that game. It pauses, observes, and chooses clarity over conflict. Imagine facing an insult with a steady gaze, your heart unshaken. That composure disarms others. It's a strength they can't manipulate. This isn't about bottling up emotions, but mastering them, channeling their energy into awareness rather than outbursts. Jung's wisdom shows that a chaotic mind distorts reality, but a calm one reflects truth, like a still lake mirroring the sky. In today's noisy world, calmness is rare and lethal. It makes you unpredictable, untouchable. When you embody this superpower, you don't just survive chaos, you transcend it. So, how do you cultivate this inner strength? What does it take to remain calm when life tests your limits? The answer lies in training your mind to pause, to breathe, and to see beyond the storm. To master calmness, you must understand why reactions feel so instinctive. Carl Jung revealed that the mind is a restless machine, obsessed with control. It labels, judges, and spins stories. Someone ignores you, and it whispers, they hate you. You fail, and it screams, you're worthless. These aren't truths, they're distortions, the mind's desperate attempt to make sense of pain. Yet, you are not your mind. You are the awareness behind it, the silent observer watching the storm without being swept away. Reactions are the mind's language, but calmness speaks the language of your true self. When you react, lashing out in anger or chasing validation, you're trapped in the mind's narrative, disconnected from reality. Jung's insight is liberating. You don't have to obey these impulses. Imagine this: a colleague criticizes you and your mind races with defensiveness. Instead of speaking, you pause. You notice the thoughts, the heat in your chest, but you don't act. In that moment, you're free. You've stepped out of the mind's grip and into awareness. This practice of non-reaction, rooted in calmness, rewires your inner world. It's not about suppressing emotions, but observing them, asking, what story is my mind telling me? By doing so, you break the cycle of unconscious reactions. Why does the mind cling to these stories? What freedom awaits when you let them go? The path to true power begins with seeing yourself as the observer, not the storm. This practice of observing, rooted in awareness, leads to a profound truth. Silence heals faster than overthinking. When pain, anger, or shame surfaces, your mind rushes to analyze, replaying conversations, questioning, "Why me?" or "What went wrong?" But Carl Jung taught that dissecting your wounds often deepens them. The shadow, the unconscious pain you carry, grows stronger when you fight or suppress it. True healing comes not from understanding every detail, but from sitting in silence with your emotions. Imagine this. You feel betrayed and your mind spirals with justifications. Instead of analyzing, you pause, you breathe. You let the pain exist without labeling it. In that stillness, something shifts. The emotion, once overwhelming, begins to soften. Jung's wisdom shows that acceptance, not analysis, integrates the shadow. By observing your pain without judgment, you allow it to flow through you like a wave passing over a calm sea. This isn't about fixing yourself. It's about being present with what is. Silence creates a sacred space where healing unfolds naturally. Overthinking keeps you trapped in the mind's stories, but silence reconnects you to your soul. Why do we resist this quiet healing? What might you discover if you let go of the need to solve your pain? The journey to wholeness begins with this simple, powerful act of being still. This healing silence does more than soothe your wounds. It becomes a mirror, reflecting truth back to those who seek to disrupt your peace. Carl Jung's philosophy reveals that when you refuse to react, you hold up a mirror to others' chaos. Imagine someone manipulates or provokes you, expecting you to lash out or beg for their approval. Instead, you respond with silence. That stillness is a force, a quiet rebellion that exposes their tactics. Narcissists and toxic people crave your reaction. It's their fuel. But when you deny them that, they're left facing their own emptiness, their own shadows. Your silence becomes a brutal reflection of their pettiness, forcing them to confront what they avoid. This isn't about winning a fight. It's about transcending it. By staying calm, as Jung's teachings suggest, you reclaim your power and protect your energy. Silence doesn't just heal you, it shifts the dynamic, making you untouchable. The world wants you to break, to chase, to explain, but your refusal rewrites the rules. Picture this, a heated argument where you stand serene, unshaken. That presence disarms, not because you're weak, but because you're grounded in truth. Why do others fear your silence? What does it reveal about their own insecurities? This mirror of stillness holds the key to not just healing, but rising above the games of ego and control. This silent strength reveals a deeper truth. Life is a movie, and you're not the character. You're the observer. Carl Jung's philosophy frames every interaction, every pain, as a scene reflecting your inner world. That toxic friend, that heartbreak, that betrayal, they're not random. They're mirrors of your shadow, begging for your attention. When you react, you become the drama, lost in the plot of anger or rejection. But silence, as we've seen, lets you step back. You watch the scene unfold without being consumed. Imagine sitting in a theater, the screen alive with conflict. The characters, your boss, your ex, your fears, play their roles. Yet, you remain in the audience untouched. Jung taught that suffering comes from identifying with the story, believing you are the heartbreak or the failure. As the observer, you see these moments for what they are. Temporary scenes, not your identity. This perspective frees you. You cry when it hurts, laugh when it heals, but you never lose yourself. Why do we cling to the drama? What happens when you watch life without starring in its chaos. By embracing your role as the observer, you unlock a power no scene can break. Stepping back as the observer sounds liberating, but one force fights to pull you back into the drama: your ego. Carl Jung described the ego as the mind's loudest voice, craving control and thriving on conflict. It hates silence, demanding you react, defend, or prove yourself. When someone misunderstands you, the ego screams, "Explain, fight back." It feeds on drama, whispering that silence is weakness. But Jung's wisdom reveals a truth: what you resist persists. The more you battle the ego, the stronger it grows. Imagine this: a friend criticizes you, and your ego urges you to argue. Instead, you pause, observing the urge without acting. That pause starves the ego, letting it dissolve. Silence, as we've learned, is your tool to watch life's movie without starring in it. The ego resists because it fears losing its grip. It wants you to believe you're the character, not the audience. By observing its demands without judgment, you weaken its hold. This isn't easy. The ego's voice is loud, rooted in old fears of rejection or failure, yet each moment you choose silence over reaction, you reclaim your true self. Why does the ego cling so tightly to control? What freedom lies beyond its noise? The answer is a life unburdened by the need to prove or perform. Silencing the ego through observation unlocks a force greater than any reaction: awareness. Carl Jung saw awareness as the most potent force in the universe, not passive, but transformative. When you pause, as we've explored, you don't just quiet the ego, you awaken to your true self. Imagine this: a heated moment where anger rises. Instead of reacting, you notice the emotion, the racing thoughts, the urge to fight. This awareness isn't weak. It's a deliberate choice to respond from truth, not trauma. Jung's philosophy teaches that unconscious reactions keep you chained to old patterns. But awareness breaks those chains. It's like a light, piercing the fog of the mind's illusions. Science backs this. When you stay aware, your nervous system calms, cortisol drops, and your body heals. Awareness doesn't just transform you internally. It shifts the world around you. Your grounded energy, like a still mountain, disarms chaos. Picture a conflict where your calm presence diffuses tension, not because you fought, but because you saw clearly. This is power, responding, not reacting. Why do we fear this clarity? What might change if you lived every moment fully aware? The path to mastery lies in embracing awareness as your guide, not your ego's noise. Awareness reveals a liberating truth. You don't need to fix yourself. Society pushes you to repair your flaws, your mindset, your habits, your emotions, as if you're inherently broken. But Carl Jung's philosophy challenges this. You were never defective. Your pain, your fears, your shadow, they're not mistakes to erase, but parts of your wholeness to embrace. Imagine this. You feel inadequate after a failure. Instead of striving to fix yourself, you pause, aware of the feeling. You ask, "Why do I feel this way?" and realize it's not you. It's a story from your past. Jung taught that true healing comes from accepting every emotion, not correcting it. This acceptance, rooted in awareness, loosens the grip of anxiety or shame. You're not a machine needing repairs. You're a soul seeking to be seen. Stop labeling your struggles as wrongs. Sit with them in silence, as we've learned, and watch them soften. This shift is radical. It frees you from the endless cycle of self-improvement. Why do we chase perfection? What if you're already whole, waiting to be recognized? By embracing this truth, you step into a life of authenticity, unburdened by the need to prove your worth. Accepting your wholeness leads to a powerful practice, detachment, not as coldness, but as clarity. Carl Jung's philosophy shows that clinging to others' approval or external validation fuels pain. Detachment is the art of letting go, rooted in the awareness that your worth doesn't depend on others. Imagine this. Someone rejects you, and your instinct is to chase, to explain, to prove you're enough. Instead, you pause, embracing the silence we've explored. You see the pain, but don't let it define you. Detachment means observing the urge to cling without acting on it. This clarity protects your energy, like a shield against chaos. Jung taught that true freedom comes from releasing the need to control how others see you. By detaching, you stop absorbing their drama, their judgments, their storms. This isn't about shutting people out. It's about loving yourself enough to set boundaries. Picture saying no with peace, not anger, or walking away from toxicity with grace. Detachment empowers you to live authentically, unswayed by external noise. Why do we fear letting go? What strength awaits when you release the need to be a chosen? This practice of clarity transforms not just your relationships, but your entire existence. Detachment's clarity leads to a transcendent state, becoming the void where nothing can touch you. Carl Jung called this individuation, the full integration of your true self beyond the ego's grasp. The void isn't emptiness, it's liberation, a space where external chaos loses its power. Imagine this. Someone tries to provoke you, but you feel no urge to react. You're not suppressing emotion, you're beyond it, observing life like clouds drifting across a vast sky. Jung taught that when you detach from the need to control outcomes, you dissolve the ego's illusions. The void is where you realize you're not your pain, your roles, or others' opinions. You're the infinite awareness beneath it all. This state makes you untouchable, not because you're numb, but because you're whole. Picture standing in life's storms, unshaken, as drama passes like a fleeting breeze. The world expects you to fight, to cling, but you rest in this sacred stillness. Becoming the void means no one can pull you back into old patterns. Why do we fear this boundless freedom? What might you become when you let go of everything you're not? This is your ultimate power, to exist as the space where all comes and goes, yet you remain. The void is not the end, it's the beginning of your awakening. Carl Jung's philosophy shows that peace, clarity, and freedom aren't found outside. They've always been within, hidden beneath the noise of ego, pain, and reactions. As you embrace the void, you realize the universe was never punishing you. It was guiding you to your true self. Imagine this, a moment of silence where your mind's chaos pauses and you feel whole. This is your power, your birthright. Don't let this truth fade. Jung taught that awakening is remembering who you are, beyond the stories, the wounds, the roles. You're not here to fight life's storms, but to rise above them, unshaken. This video isn't just a message, it's a call to act. Start today. Pause before reacting. Observe your shadow. Choose silence. Hit the like button, not for us, but to anchor this shift in your soul. Comment your biggest insight below. Let it mark your commitment. Why wait to live authentically? What's stopping you from stepping into this freedom now? Subscribe and join this journey. This isn't the end, it's where you begin.